Good morning, everyone, officially. My name is Sarah Hagee. I am the Executive Director here with the Electrical Association of Philadelphia. Pleasure to be here with you all this morning. Thanks so much for joining us. I have several people joining us, some that you can see, most that you can see, some that you cannot. My colleague, Matt Dibert with EAP, he's our program manager. He's on the line supporting our chat for a little while. Of course, we've got our presenter here, Bill DeRosier from Legrand, as well as his colleague, Trevor Gardner, who is the district manager. And then finally, last but not least, we do have Mike Medaglia from Brazil Brothers, who represents Legrand locally. Before we get started, I have just a few thanks and housekeeping items I'd like to go through. Number one, thanks so much, Billows Electric Supply, for their sponsorship, of course, as well as Legrand. We very, very much appreciate their sponsorship, and of course, Brazil Brothers as their local sales representative. Today, your cameras have been turned off, as well as your mic. We are recording this session. So if you would like, please go ahead and submit your questions via chat. We're going to go ahead and go through those towards the end of the session. So now it's my pleasure. I'm going to turn it over to Mike, who's going to say a few words, and then introduce our presenter. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Sarah. My name is Mike Medaglia. I'm with Brazil Brothers, with a local rep firm for a number of electrical lines, but some being Legrand, which is wire molds, cable fill, and Tess and Seymour, as well as OnQ. Actually, I should add that in as well. We've been representing wire mold for a number of years now. I'm local in the Philadelphia market, so if you need any kind of information, samples, additional info, even a job walkthrough, whatever you need, please reach out to me. I can be your local point of contact here, and look forward to that. I will turn it over to Bill DeRosier, who I've had the pleasure of being trained by for a number of times. I actually have been up to the wire mold factory, Bill, in a snowstorm. I don't know if you remember that or not.
Right.
Where
I do remember that, Mike.
Down 2 feet of snow up there, where you were determined to get that training in. We drove all over the factory in 2 feet of snow to make sure that training happened. So good to see you again. I'm glad you're here to help us out. I really
that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. I think I was using my wife's new four-wheel drive Jeep or something to shuttle you guys from the hotel to the factory.
You were
or something
determined.
like that. I was determined. So anyways, great to see you again, Mike.
And also, thank you very much, Sarah, for putting this on. Thanks for Billows Electric Supply for helping us put this on as well. So I do really appreciate all the help, and let's get to it.
All right.
And
well,
I just want to add one quick comment, Bill and Mike.
Sure.
In addition to the brands we talked about, Legrand acquired a company just over a year ago with ConnectTrack is the name of that brand, and that's a new product and offering that we have to our portfolio of products. Mike can help out and assist there. And also on the call is our regional sales manager for ConnectTrack, Michael Brennan, who can also support any designs that you need. So more resources to everybody on the call if you need them. And Bill's going to go over a lot of the product and including ConnectTrack on the call. But I just wanted to reiterate that that's a new solution that will be heavily relied upon as we look at some of the challenges post-COVID.
Hey, Trevor, I didn't have ConnectTracks in that last deck that we went through, but I can pull up a deck if you want. But it wasn't in this deck, so if you want to go over ConnectTracks, we can always do that too.
Okay, sorry about that, and my fault.
Yeah, I was just basing it on everything else. But if we have time, I'll definitely pull up ConnectTracks as well. Okay. All right. So, anyways, thank you again for everybody. This is Bill DeRosier. I am the training manager at Legrand. I'm not going to tell you how long I've been there because, well, it's been a long time. Anyways, it's been a good run, and I enjoy being the training manager for Legrand. So what we want to talk about this morning, obviously, is COVID, a little bit about what people are going through, what institutions, offices, hospitality market are all going through when it comes to kind of bringing people back to work, if you will, and what that's going to look like, and what some of the solutions are that will help people get back to work. So with that, we'll jump right into it. So the office space is going to change. It is rapidly changing due to the impacts of COVID-19. Business must approach reoccupancy and even new builds holistically in order to mitigate the risk of transmission, and as well as supporting the well-being of all staff. So, facility owners must assess all the hazards and apply creative strategies to reduce these risks, and the impacts will be obviously immediate, but they're not just short-term, they're going to be long-term as well. So some of the major trends that we see are a request from customers for flexible workspaces, and again, people are going to be working outside the traditional office space. Maybe if you worked in a cubicle, when you go back to work, you might have plexiglass between you. You might be spread out more. You might have conference rooms that are closed. There's going to be new ways to handle doing a lot of the old tasks that we did, and some of that might include working outside. And that hasn't been a bad thing for the past few months, but obviously it's getting cold soon. So, but there's going to be a lot of different things a lot of different approaches that people have to take to sort of get back to some type of new norm. So flexibility. They also want to incorporate more space and distance for safe interaction, but still be able to have, a personal space that they can work in, that they feel safe in, but also those collaboration spaces that they can feel safe in. Obviously, a lot of people are working from home. You can tell that I'm working from home from today. I think everybody else on this call is doing the same. And a greater focus is kind of developed for kind of that work life balance for people. Again, we talked about people that are working from home, their kids are home, their spouses are home, so that changes a lot of things. So let's look at some of the challenges that our facility managers are facing as they try to reopen. So we've been doing a lot of research on our own, trying to figure out exactly what our customers want from us and how we can help. And some of the things that we've heard is there is obviously a new increased focus on health, safety, and welfare. More spacious floor plans for social distancing, improved air infiltration. Air filtration is a big thing, so companies are trying to figure out how to bring more fresh air into the building to kind of keep the air fresh and clean from viruses. And a big one is touch-free devices. If you can make things turn on and off without having to touch them, obviously that just increases safety. So again, I mentioned it earlier, these aren't short-term reactions. These are trends that will last well into the future. And at the heart of the new office space design, again, is flexibility, and that is flexibility both indoors and outdoors. So what are some of the specific challenges? According to a new American Institute of Architects initiative that is called Reopening America, Strategies for the Safer Office, facility owners will need to assess hazards in all building areas, such as entrances, lobbies, collaboration spaces, managerial office, common workspaces, even restrooms and elevators. They're all areas that may need to be modified for people to go back to work. And the density of occupants in the workspace is also changing. So where before, building design was kind of trending towards smaller spaces and more dense workspaces, now facility managers are designing or rethinking, the functions to optimize space with lower occupancy. So that's a big change too. So COVID-19 protocols will require many changes in commercial office buildings, workspaces being moved further apart, reconfigured, installing the plastic sneeze guards I talked about, a lot of signage, and again, conference rooms closed or fewer chairs, probably minimizing a lot of the storage that they used to have to make more room for people to spread out, all in an effort to keep people safe and healthy. And this will include frequent cleanings with disinfectants, and facility owners are looking at ways to minimize the need for touching surfaces, which will minimize the need for cleaning, because obviously cleaning takes additional staff, additional time, and cost to do that. So as I already mentioned, facility managers are looking at outdoor spaces to solve some of these social distancing and fresh air needs and requirements. And one of the ways that they're doing that is adding outdoor spaces that can have significant benefits. For one, it's just inherently safer to work in an outdoor environment. There's no better place to socially distance and have fresh air and mitigate the risk of transmission. And there are proven benefits in terms of productivity. And finally, there are also ways to meet sustainability goals by adding outdoor rooftop space and terraces. So there's a lot of benefits to be had by moving outdoors, if you will. Okay. And again, I just talked about how businesses are adding rooftop decks and outdoor terraces. That's just one way they're doing it. So we're going to look at some comprehensive solutions that Legrand has come up with to kind of help, move people outdoors first and take advantage of that area. So when you think about adding power to a new space or an outdoor space, there's actually two different applications. The first concern is about providing convenience power and USB charging for visitors and guests, while the second is about providing more permanent power for facilities teams and facilities managers that are using it for like large events, whether they're sports events or other types of events, and maybe even maintenance type of work. So to begin with, we're going to talk about the way you can bring power and USB charging to an outdoor facility in a safe and attractive way for guests. And then we'll talk more about the second purpose, which is for facilities managers. Okay, so the first one we're talking about is one like you can see right here, which is an outdoor charging station, and this can have both power or low voltage charging. Okay, the important thing to look for in these outdoor charging stations is a product that's UL listed. Outdoor charging stations should be listed to UL 1773 and adhere to the requirements of UL 231 to ensure that the products provide safe access to power outdoors. And Legrand charging stations, like the ones you see here, have a NEMA 3R rating. And this ensures a safe product that's been tested and evaluated to comply with all applicable standards, and most importantly, will withstand rain, snow, wind, sprinklers, salt air, anything that you can throw at it and still keep the devices safe and dry from the elements. Our charging station has a door that conceals the charging area, and when you slide the door up, the gasketing moves up to reveal the charging inside, and you can select from a number of different devices, USB ports, and also standard GFCIs for powering up equipment. So whether it's low voltage for USB charging or power, there's a lot of adaptability that this unit can have, and you can have it be all power, all USB, or a combination of the two. For users in an outdoor space, lighting is another concern. So Legrand offers a station that includes only a small accent light, which you can see here on the right-hand side. And this really doesn't really shed a lot of light. This is just really to help people with finding their way in the dark to find a charging ballard without disrupting the lighting plan for the rest of the space. Or you may want to select an option like you're seeing on the left-hand side with area lighting, and this station could be used to replace a traditional bollard that you find on like college campuses. Okay, and this would provide LED pathway lighting. And again, there's a third option, which is no lighting at all. Okay, so it's pathway lighting, it's just accent lighting, or no lighting at all. Okay. So the Ballard style power and charging stations we just looked at are obviously a great solution. However, adding a hardwired charging station like we just looked at can be expensive. You think about all the trenching involved and laying in the pipe. Okay, it can be anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000 to trench to a single location. So instead, your customers might want to consider an off-grid option. Something that's powered by solar can really minimize the expense of adding, charging to a location. So solar charging is like the ones you've seen here are attached to a standard 4-inch light pole. So it's a very simple thing to add this type of charging to an existing light pole or to add a light pole without all that trenching involved with the ballards that we saw earlier. The solar design eliminates the need to trench power, saving time and money, but also higher education is big on sustainability right now, and solar is a huge play here. Corporate facilities, hospitals, public parks, municipalities are all great applications for providing solar charging. Our solar stations use just USBs. They don't provide actual power. No NEMA outlets is what I mean to say here. And the reason for that is to keep the size, the physical size of the charging station or the solar panel smaller. If you had larger panels, what would be required is some type of structure to actually mount a larger panel on, and that's not the intent here. The intent here is to have a smaller panel that will fit right on top of a 4-inch light pole and provide that easy access for just charging of things like phones and tablets, okay? Really, this type of thing is not for charging larger equipment like plugging in a laptop or something of that sort. So that wraps up what should be providing power, safe power, and charging for visitors to an area. Now we want to talk about products that really provide permanent power for facilities managers and workers that are on the facility or the campus that need to have access for events and or maintenance equipment. Okay, so facility managers are often forced to set up, generators or to run extension cords and try to prevent tripping hazards and damage to those cords. It's very expensive to roll out all these big heavy cords and then roll them all back up again and store them. So one of the ways to get around all of that is, and it's very unattractive actually, is to use some type of temporary power that really blends into the space. And that's where an outdoor power box comes into play. Facility managers can't be stopped by weather changes, and they definitely want to look for solutions that can be used all year round, no matter what's happening outside. Most campuses are using their outdoor spaces year round, and they need to support events year round. Just think about football, okay, that goes well into the cold weather season, okay, as well as the nice weather when there are other outdoor events. So even if they're not thinking about events, they may still need to provide power for outdoor tools and other items to maintain their campuses. In order to fit into a space, the box should sit flush with the ground. This will also help to reduce dripping hazards. Unlike stub ups that we see a lot of times on facilities, conduit stub ups, oftentimes those stub ups are very unsafe. They get broken and damaged by equipment like lawnmowers and things of that nature. They get broken just by people. People trip over them. Oftentimes we've seen a lot of these things are broken off weatherproof covers, boxes that are broken, exposed power receptacles. So again, something that's more permanent and in the ground that can blend in with the environment, reduce tripping hazards, and again, fit in with the aesthetics, whether it's grass, whether it's brick, concrete, turf, or pavers, whatever the aesthetic is, we make a box that actually fits into the application and looks perfect. So the other thing is, how do you keep this power and access secure? Well, unlike with the power station, this box is intended to be, provide facility power, but also to do it so that visitors can't get into the space, okay? This is something that should have a lockable cover that only the facility managers can get access to, and not necessarily visitors or guests. So there's an egress door that is unlockable and adjusts with the special enclosures to the cable size that is egressing out of the box, and that keeps the box secure and tight. It keeps debris and other things from falling into the box and prevents damage from the cables, most importantly, when the cover is closed again. So let's take a little closer look at how this works. So the most important thing, obviously, is to consider how the ground box handles water, okay? And there are a lot of boxes out there in the market today that claim to be watertight, but in most cases, within a year, that box is either cracked or water is somehow finding its way into the box. Legrand has taken a somewhat unique approach to maintaining safety. The Legrand box that we're showing here uses what's known as the diver bell technology to maintain a tight air pocket around the devices that you see on the screen. Right in the middle of the screen here, you can see there's water in the box here, but there's this little area atop here that is airtight, and that is because the cavity actually is airtight. Okay, so what happens is you pull the box straight up out of the ground, the cover, you plug in your devices, and then you lower it straight back down in. The way the cover goes in, it has to be lowered straight in. And what happens is, because it's an airtight cover, air is trapped, and where the air is trapped and can't leak out, water can't get in. You may remember as a kid experimenting in school, taking a glass or a cup, tipping it upside down and submerging it into a bucket of water. Okay, no water gets into the cup or the glass because the air is in there and can't get out. And so that's how we keep this airtight box from getting water into the receptacles and the devices. So one of the most important considerations in an outdoor box that is safe, our box is NEMA 6P rated, meaning that it can be totally submerged in water without creating a hazard. And one of the stories I like to talk about is, you may remember a few years ago, the hurricanes that they had down with incredible amounts of rain in Texas. And at one point they had actually 50 inches of water fall in a 24-hour period. I mean, think about that. 50 inches of water is more than most areas get in a year. The football field at this particular university where our boxes were installed were under feet of water. And after the water was all gone, the box was totally dry and safe inside. No water permeated the receptacle area of the box. Okay, so the box works, and it always works. So moving on to another option, kind of along the lines of the stub ups we talked about, again, a lot safer though, would be a power pedestal like you see here. They look a little bit like our charging stations, but these are strictly for power. Again, they're lockable covers, and again, they're only for facilities managers and facilities users, not for guests, okay? So if you want to consider adding something like a power pedestal, these pedestals can stand up to a lot of abuse. They're very tough, and they're made, first of all, not only to be seen, they're not low to the ground, but they're extremely durable. And again, these are provided for the facilities managers. They're permanent. And the nice thing about them is they have ratings of up to 60 amp devices. Okay, so you can provide a lot of power for heavy equipment that facilities managers may need. Okay, and again, they're weatherproof and they are lockable. So now let's kind of switch things up a little bit and move back indoors and away from the outdoors. Whether we're indoors or outdoors, providing safe, convenient access to power and charging is critical. And with the need to maintain, 6-foot social distancing, providing furniture-mounted power and charging makes a lot of sense. And with Legrand, it's both easy to do and it's very practical. As people spread out in offices and lounges, waiting areas, hotel lobbies, waiting rooms, things of that nature, they need to stay connected. They need to stay connected with friends and family. They need to stay connected with business associates to do their work. So providing all of these services right where people are actually sitting or working or waiting becomes critical, so that you can, again, maintain that social distancing, but still provide the power and charging that's needed. Now, I threw this slide in here because I didn't really understand USB-A and USB-C very well. We're all familiar with the USB-A, right? That's this larger USB receptacle that we see right here opening. But the thing about that is it's you can only fit your plug-in one way. And if you're like me, 90% of the times I go to plug in, I'm always plugging in the wrong way, trying to jam it in, and I have to turn it over and try it the other way. USB-C, which is really what's coming, is the future, and you're probably already starting to see it. If you haven't, you will, is reversible. It doesn't matter what way you try to plug in, it always fits. You just plug in and it goes in, no problem. For people like me, that's a great thing. But USB-C is going to do a lot more than just charging. It actually will charge a lot faster. It's future-proof because it's gonna do a lot more than charging. And it's going to do other things. So if you look here on the right-hand side, it's going to provide power, okay? Your devices of the future, like your laptops and a lot of other devices, are going to be able to be powered by a USB style, USB-C style opening, unlike the USB-A, which just strictly charging. Other things, there's going to be file transfers that can be done through USB-C. There's going to be photo transfers, and my favorite is MIDI. And I had to look this up when I first saw this, MIDI. MIDI is a musical instrument digital interface. So the point here is you're going to see a lot more of the USB-C style, and it's going to do a lot more than what USB-A does today. And the good news is that Legrand is incorporating USB-C in a lot of devices that that we offer today. So obviously, all the products that you see here are great solutions for commercial office spaces, as well as hospitality and hospitals and anywhere where people are kind of waiting and hanging out or working and still maintaining social distancing. So what we've heard is from a lot of the surveys that we've done is about half of all workers charge their phone or their computer at least twice a day. And about a quarter of all people charge their devices up to 3 times a day. So that means people need access to a lot of power and charging constantly, okay? And the nice thing about the products that you see on the screen right now is you can see that they're all at desktop height. And I'm sure many of you may remember, I know I have been in conference rooms and in different areas where you walk into the conference room and everybody's crawling around on the floor trying to find, outlets or power for their laptops. And that happens all the time. Or they're stretching cords from a table in the middle of a room over to a wall, which is very unsafe because now you have a tripping hazard and you can rip the cords out if someone doesn't see the cord. So these devices, which mount right at your desktop furniture surface, are really the solution for the future. And the ones that we're offering right now, they can be mounted in many different ways, which I'll show you, but there's also combinations of USB-A, USB-C, so that you're kind of future-proofing your work surface and your access to power and communications charging. Okay, so we're really excited at Legrand to offer the first product that has actually been evaluated by UL, which meets a new requirement it's called UL 962A, which addresses furniture power and distribution units for portable, movable workspaces. So think about a training room like the ones I use. We move tables all over the place and rearrange and reconfigure tables depending on the type of training that we're doing or how many people are in the space. Well, there is this new requirement by UL to have these portable solutions, and we're going to take a closer look at them in a minute here. But you can see right here that we have not only power, but USB-A and USB-C in these devices. And what I want to show you now is that they can be daisy chained together. So you see that what you have actually is a unit 1, which is the power unit that plugs into the wall or into the power source. Could be a floor box, a poke through, or the wall. And then you have what they call really the secondary units or the middle units, and you can have up to 4 of these, okay? And an end unit, which is the last unit that does not plug into anything else further on. So you can actually have 6 of these units daisy chained together in a row. And that's nice because now you can maintain 6-foot spacing for employees or anyone that's going through training in one of these facilities that moves these areas around, moves their tables around, and can rearrange things and still maintain a safe UL listed product that provides all your power and charging needs. And again, these units are nice for another reason, is because they can be mounted either above the surface, as you see up here on the left, using a clamp. They can be mounted below the surface, as you see here, with screws, or they can even be mounted directly into the surface itself, cutting a hole into the surface itself. So 3 ways that you can mount these to meet whatever your requirements are, okay? Surface, below, or flush. The next thing that I like to show you here is something that excites me. I just love inductive charging, where you just lay your phone right on top of the table or whatever surface you have here. No cords required. The requirement is that you have a newer style phone, either Apple, I think 8 and up. I believe there's a 10 and an 11 now. I think I even heard about a 12 coming out, or the Samsung Galaxies, and you can see the ones on the screen that works there. But all new phones going forward will have that capability of just laying the phone right on top of the surface, no cord required. You don't have to touch the surface. You just put your phone down, pick your phone up. Again, you know, thinking about COVID and not touching surfaces, this is a great way to quickly, and the amazing thing is the amperage for the charging is 7.5 amps. So this charges a phone really quick compared to a lot of the earlier USB style charging. So quick charging, safe charging, you don't have to touch a surface, you don't have to find cords and all that sort of thing. Really cool technology that's coming along. So let's talk more about all these, you know, touchless protocols, and not to mention some other things we'll talk about, which is energy code requirements and a growing demand for energy savings. And that's where we're going to talk about some of our sensors that Legrand offers. Okay, so although federal and local guidelines for reopening the economy are still kind of being shaped, and they're different all over the country, policymakers and health officials will still need to, you know that with certainty that they can provide safe applications for power and charging, and that oftentimes means a no-touch surface. Okay, so we mentioned earlier that a few things need to be, few as possible things need to be touched in the facility. We're going to talk about some ways to do that, and some ways to, even if you do need to touch a surface, to safely do that as well, okay? So here are some examples of Legrand's Pass and Seymour or Watt Stopper. Some of you may be familiar with Watt Stopper. If you're a Pass and Seymour distributor or user, so a contractor that uses Pass and Seymour devices, you have access to a wide variety of sensors from Watt Stopper. Okay, they're sold through Pass and Seymour as well as Watt Stopper. But the cool thing here is that there are really 3 technologies to look at. There are passive infrared, there's ultrasonic, and there is a combination of both. And it really depends on the application that you're looking at to pick the right products. So for small offices, let's just say 12 by 12 with a single occupant, like my office is 12 by 12 back at the factory. I haven't been there in a long time, but it's about 12 by 12, and there's a sensor in there that really helps someone just sit there and work at a computer. And for this case, we recommend a bi-level dual technology sensor, okay, designed to work around obstructions, and that can easily be replaced in an office, replacing a toggle switch, okay, with one of these type of sensors. So for offices that are a bit larger and conference rooms that have suspended ceilings, fixtures that are mounted on the ceiling really are best because they provide such a wide angle of sight, and these ones really like passive infrared technology, okay? And again, there are other times where you're providing, I'm trying to think of the third application might be a bathroom, believe it or not, the stalls, where you're in a stall, and I don't know if this ever happened to you, it happens to me, where the lights go out in these bathrooms. So there are dual technology units that are really good for seeing around obstacles and picking up people in a space where you don't always have that line of sight, okay? So the point here is whether it's a wall-mounted unit that goes right in place of an existing switch, or a ceiling-mounted unit, or a unit that is just passive infrared or just ultrasonic, or a combination, we make the right unit for the application. And you can learn a lot more about picking out the right unit for the right application just by going to our Legrand website, legrand.us, and you can really read up on finding all of the right solutions depending on the application. Again, the nice thing there is that it's touch-free, turning on and off lights automatically when people enter and exit a room. Another area is with the Adorn wave switch. Not sure if you're familiar with Adorn. Adorn is a high-end, very elegantly designed, beautiful switches and receptacles and smart lighting and dimmers that goes under the name Adorn. But the nice thing is we have one switch that is a wave switch, okay? And you don't have to touch a switch in a room to turn lights on and off, which is really nice. So the wave switch is preset right from the factory to work within a 4-inch area, but it's adjustable. You can make it so it has to be closer or further away. But again, it's providing that touch-free environment and reducing the need for cleaning of regular surfaces like switches, okay? So the Adorn wave switch is just another way that we can provide that touch-free access. Something that's really cool about this switch too is that it is both single pole and 3-way. So you don't have to buy, 2 different versions of this thing. You can just pick one of these switches up, one of these wave switches up, and wire it for either single pole or 3-way application, which is kind of cool. Next, I'd like to talk about smart lighting. And, smart lighting is just another way of turning on and off lights and other things in your house with no touch, okay? So I love smart lighting. I have it throughout my house. It's very easy to install. And we'll go through our offering here. What I'd like to do is talk about the technology here, and what it really is that's important is OFC. You'll see that at the bottom here, and OFC is kind of like any other standard rating, like if you talk about like a NEMA rating, okay? OFC means that this device is set up to work with all other OCF devices. So if you think about things like Google Home and Alexa and Ring, okay, and Nest. There are a lot of devices that are now standardized on this OCF certification, which means they can talk to each other. So you always want to make sure that you have devices that meet that OCF certification. What's really nice about our units right here, like our switches and our dimmers, is that you don't need a bridge. Earlier versions of these type of devices needed a bridge. It was like a separate box that you had to plug into your router, and then you had to pair up your devices with that bridge, and that's all gone now. All of the Wi-Fi capability, all of the brains and technology is built right into these switches and dimmers and some other products I'm going to show you in a minute. And when you power them up, all you have to do is there's a QR code that is right on each device. You take a picture with your you download an app first from Legrand. You download an app, you take a picture of the device, QR code, and you don't have to have a QR reader on your phone. When you download the app, it just works with your regular camera on your phone. It programs the fixture, or it programs the device right then and there. It pairs up with your Wi-Fi in your house immediately, and you can create all kinds of scenes with these devices, again, turn on and off during times of work, okay, or times when people are home or not home. But again, touch-free, turning on and off. You can turn them on and off with your phone. You can turn them on and off automatically with scenes. But the important part is the touch-free capability, okay? So important thing to look for is OCF certification with these devices. Some of the other devices that are available are a new duplex receptacle that's coming out very soon. If it hasn't come out already, it's coming out very soon. This duplex receptacle is the same thing. It can be controlled by your smartphone. It can be programmed to turn things that are plugged into it on and off automatically at certain times. We also have plug-ins. If you see down here, we have a plug-in which goes into your standard outlet without having to rewire. A dimmer with these two switches right here, these two buttons, dim your load, or just on-off type of plug-in. And all of these devices, again, whether they're dimmer switches or receptacles or plug-ins, they're all OCF certified. They all work with Alexa and Google Home and other things like Ring and Nest. My favorite though right now is, because the holidays are coming, is this new item right here, which is an outdoor NEMA rated GFCI smart device that you can plug in 3 sets of lights or anything you want to plug in outdoors. But for me, I'm thinking about Christmas right now. I'm plugging in Christmas lights. And again, it's a NEMA outdoor certified rated GFCI rated device with smart intelligence. The only caveat here is that you need to have Wi-Fi outside. So I know we're getting close to the end of our time here, so I just want to show you one more thing here. Pass and Seymour has a number of devices that are NEMA rated to meet the new code that NEMA has set for cleaning electrical devices, but at the same time not exposing those devices to harmful disinfectants and cleaners that can actually crack and split not only device plates, but the device itself, the plastic on the device. If it's not of the right quality, if it's not manufactured to withstand disinfectants and cleaners, they could crack and become very unsafe. So there are guidelines for cleaning your NEMA devices and faceplates, and there are faceplates and devices that you can get from Pass and Seymour that are designed to withstand disinfectants and cleaners. So that's another very important aspect to figure to consider for these surfaces that must be touched, okay, to make sure that if they are touched, that they can be cleaned safely. So I've been doing a lot of talking. We're now at the quarter past the hour. I know that Trevor wants to talk about I think Trevor's going to talk about a little special promotion that we have going on right now. So Trevor?
Hey, Bill. Yeah, one thing, we appreciate everyone taking some time today and joining us. And as part of that, we wanted to give away we talked a lot about the different desktop power supplies and ways to add convenience, power, and charging to everyone's space. And we wanted to give away a couple of wire mold desktop power control centers with both USB A and C power with a 6-foot cord to a couple of winners for joining our call. So we did a random drawing and we have 2 winners. And I apologize if I mispronounced the name, but the first winner is Paul Bizon with Riggs Disler Company. And the second winner is David Dudo from Dudo Electric. So we appreciate you joining. We will work with Sarah to get the shipping information, and we will get a couple of samples of these wire mold power centers out. And we appreciate everyone taking the time. And And any other questions, feel free to type them into the chat, and we appreciate everyone's time today.
Okay, so if you have questions, I would ask that you actually type them into the questions pane. You'll see there's a questions pane, so if you could do that, that'd be great. Also, just before we go to the questions, I just want to point out the screen right now. There's a lot of great resources available to you that can be downloaded right from our website. There are all kinds of videos that you can access. There's brochures, there's sell sheets, there's cut sheets, whatever you need. You'll find a lot of great resources right on our website. That's legrand.us. Just type in the search bar whatever you're looking for. It'll bring you right to a page with lots of resources and information. So let me just go ahead and open up my questions pane and see if there's any questions. Let's see.
While you're doing that, Bill, I will note, so number one, wonderful presentation. Thank you so much. We will, we have recorded this presentation. We're going to be posting it and sending it out. In addition, after this event, we'll send an email out to everyone and make sure that you have Mike Medaglia's contact information. So if there's any additional questions, they can certainly reach out to Mike or Bill by way of Mike.
Okay.
All right.
All right, I'm looking here and I do not see any questions or any chat at this time. So I would like to just say thank you guys for having me on this morning. I know it was a little bit early in the morning to get going, but I enjoyed doing it. If you have any questions, obviously you can get in touch with Mike or Trevor or Sarah. Good luck and stay safe with COVID. So if there's nothing else, Sarah, we can say goodbye to everybody.
All right, everybody, wonderful. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you for joining us.